Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks. Looks like we have a AFK here. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Today we are going to be checking out KOOM Valley, one of my favorite maps. It's got a lot of really fun positions here. It's a really interesting one. It's an old one too, so if you played Bar for a long time, you're probably well familiar with this map. Let me just fly around here and show you the map. You can see that there's a nice long front line here. There's usually, I believe it's 6 players. Oh, I'm still in my mode there. Oh, wow, okay. Red team has drawn out, those are blue, have drawn out some beautiful pictures for indicating where everyone is responsible for. It's very nice to see. We'll go ahead and clear the map so I can talk about this. We'll also exit the first person mode here. There we go, nice and isometric. When you have these frontline players here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, typically this is the default for KOOM Valley. Sometimes we'll have different things, like people will spawn in this position, or sometimes someone will spawn up here, but typically this is pretty much the default spawns, represented by both teams. Actually, you can see that both teams are mirrored here. In fact, spawning on the eastern side, we have Fatal XXL going to be our Cortex commander, dressed up in blue, representing the back line of the blue team, mirrored across the map by our red team leader on the western side, Elidrid? We'll go with Elidrid. Elidrid here, our Armada commander, dressed up in red. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I think of Cortex, I think of red, and whenever I think of Armada, I think of blue. So seeing these two in the opposite colors is a little bit confusing to me. It sets my brain on fire a little bit, but I guess that's all right. In the backline, you're expected to go for either tech or air here. Although I do notice that neither backline player is a Cortex player, so air is going to be interesting. Typically, the person who gets these center mexes right here is the one that should go for tech, because obviously with more metal under your belt, that teching up is going to be a little bit faster. So I think that's probably what we're going to see here with Elidrid going for these metal extractors. They're probably going to be the one that techs up for the red team. Meanwhile, I have to say it is a damn good job of Orange State here getting some of these rovers across the map and trying to do a little bit of damage with them. I'm going to award them the official Brightworks Get a Unit Out and About on the Field award. Very nicely done. The rover's now parked in the back line. I don't even hate this, actually. If you stow these away somewhere, you're likely to catch a constructor or something like that. A amphibious construction vehicle was produced here out of Orange's production bay. That's quite interesting. This is also a bit of an older game, so to all the players here, if you happen to see this video, I do know that this is a slightly older match, so you know, if you feel this doesn't properly reflect your current skill level, feel free to send in your replay. Oh, this is also pre-commander patch. That's how old this is, by the way. This is a really old game. It sounded interesting, and I must have lost it in my files, but I did want to take a look at it. So these commanders threatening to D-gun each other is actually a valid threat here now. They're gonna laser battle each other now. Oh, it is post. Oh, okay. My bad. I guess I don't know when this was. I'm losing track of times. Brightworks is going crazy here, as I've received so many replays from you guys, which, by the way, I am thrilled by. I love seeing the replays that you guys send in. They're always great. The only sad part is that I don't get a chance to look at all of them, just because there is such a tremendous volume of them. There's just not enough time. IX de-gunning the commander wreckage, not confident that he's going to be able to eat up that wreckage, so instead just going to clear it off the map and take the commander kill for what he can. I think it's a valid play. That commander did die on what I would consider to be the blue team side of the halfway mark here. So probably going to be easier for them to reclaim that if the wreck was left on the field. I think that was a fair play by IX. Orange State is continuing to be aggressive here. We've got some blitzes sneaking by, trying to do some damage to these mexes. I'm not sure. Those light laser turrets are a significant deterrent, trying to force those blitzes away from the metal extractors. They do get 2 of them, one from Hedge Wizard and one from Diversity here. But Diversity is not taking it lightly. We have some blitzes counterattacking into Elenios's facilities here. Fatal XXL is devouring the T1 bot lab, and I can only assume that's to tech upwards here. We did have a T1 solar panel, but we're eating it right up. Very nicely done. Making a good name for yourself, Fatal. Very, very good to see. Now, interestingly, there's a lot of metal extractors here that were not claimed. Tossi has got the air lab out. Are we stalling on energy? We are currently stalling on energy. Would love to see some of these converted into advanced solar panels. Meanwhile, aggression in the middle of the map here. One blitz has ran through, and yeah, it's actually caused a lot of problems in the backline here. There's some wreckages from some wind turbines, but more importantly, these metal extractors have gone down, and you'll notice that these are 3.5 metal extractors, so they are very, very valuable. You need to keep those up and running as much as possible, and I think right now with them down, the red team is in a fantastic advantage. Shuriken is out, a single Shuriken, but it's all you really need against one or two blitzes here. It can paralyze them and allow your friendly blitzes to get as much value as they need to. Meanwhile, Ammo Genie has pushed all the way forward here. Wow, this is a very aggressive push. Ammo Genie, this is a red team commander walking right up the gates towards the blue team. This is bad. This could get really ugly really quickly. Ammo Genie is low on units right now. We do have a constructor building these metal extractors, building the Twilights actually, the cloaked metal extractors. I'd love to see it claiming these other metal extractors as well. You know, send one bot down to clear out these metal extractors, and you're going to deny a whole bunch of economy to Orange State, that is. For some reason I wanted to say Orange Slate. Anyways, Ammo Genie's commander is walking up, and since this is post-commander update, it can handle light laser turrets pretty well. Apparently Fatal XL has spotted the commander here. Excellent D-guns, wiping away tons of those pawns. Yeah, essentially removing those as a threat here. Oh, they do get us around though. We've run out of energy. Okay, Ammo Genie will eventually be ganged up on by all of these little hero soldiers, and the commander will go down. Okay, not nearly enough damage to justify that now. Where we once had the opportunity to completely wipe this player off, we unfortunately stalled on energy. Ammo Genie, that is. I didn't stall on energy. I would never do such a thing. Stalling on energy here means that there was not enough D-guns to actually clear away all of those pawns. So Ammo Genie's push could have been a whole lot more devastating here, but actually I think it's going to put our turquoise player here, our sort of light blue player, that's more of a powder blue. Anyway, it's going to put them in a fantastic position where now they have thousands of metal dumped at their doorstep. They did lose their whole army for it. That's something to not be overestimated, but whoa. Looks like Jagmiov's commander has been doing the same thing. Okay, I missed something important here. Jagmiov has got a commander out. What a foul name, by the way. Jagmiov has his commander has taken over Ammo Genie's base, so I guess it was more like a base trade than I realized. Having a really hard time dealing with these sprinters, and that commander will go down as well. Alright, well, Ammo Genie is now reduced down to just the constructors he has out on the field. Meanwhile, Jagmiov does have the constructors back here. We ate up that commander course, but we didn't have the metal to store it, so a lot of that metal just went back to the team. You know, not the end of the world, but so, you know, you paid for that commander with your forces and your base. You might as well keep the metal. At least in my mind, I feel like that's fair. Elydrid was able to clean up this mess, though, from the back line, so that's very good to see. Ammo Genie has been handed a constructor back here as well, so Ammo Genie is not out of this game by any means, still going to be able to stick with it. We are eventually going to start up a geothermal, I have to imagine, with this build power being built over on this side. So that'll be quite nice. Yeah, I think eventually this should be just fine for both of these players. It was a bit of an odd trade, both of them losing their bases more or less. I would definitely say that Jagmiov lost less of the base, but has less ground on the map, so should have a harder time recovering. That being said, that's a lot of blitzes. I think these must have been handed over here because Jagmiov does not have any vehicle production of any sort, so these must have been handed over by a teammate. Anyways, across the front line, down south, things are looking much more stable. Tons and tons of laser turrets here. I'd love to see a Rocketeer or two coming out of Ecstasis. Yeah, like 2 rocket bots would dismantle this entire front line. We could slowly do it with the thugs too if we got a resbot out and we just healed them up after every engagement, but that is a lot of laser towers. That's going to be a solid and sturdy 6 laser towers to hold on to the front lines here. Using transports to bring constructors down, that's quite nice. Now, I do like this high ground position as well. That's also very nice here for Ecstasis. Getting that advantage will be significant. Medium tanks are the weapon of choice here for our orange hero, Yularev, who is trying desperately to eliminate this commander. Meanwhile, another commander has gone down over here. Looks like that was the light pink commander. That's going to be Diversity going down right here. Diversity is dead, folks. Oh no. Klepek is moving riot tanks forward, going to try and eat up this commander. Wreckage, but there is a heavy laser turret laying into this commander. That is no good. Riot tank also desperately trying to protect his commander. I will die for you, sir. And die he will. Bunch of blitzes jump on top of the commander, but there will be enough eventually to mop all of this up. These riot tanks are so powerful. So powerful. They're very slow and you can outrange them, and missile trucks are pretty great, as we've seen in the recent meta. The missile truck meta is a devastating one. But yeah, the thing that's gonna win here is eventually the amount of metal that you can reclaim, and right now Ajax is getting more of that metal out of that wreckage than Klepek was able to. So ultimately that advantage went back to the red team as opposed to the blue. This is quite a skirmish we've got, quite a frontline brawl. Oh, this central geothermal plant has come up, and that's really nice. Very difficult to hold on to this, but if you can, it can be a really nice boon to your economy. Give you a nice little boost, and I think that's exactly what Ajax is looking for here. It's also going to make sure that you can always D-gun when you need to, right? That's something we've seen quite a few times in this game, is D-guns have failed where we needed them most. More aggression here up north as Illinois is, as Jagmioff is pushing forward here. We've used the blitzes to clear out some of the army as well as rocket bots. And now we're setting up beamer turrets from Ammo Genie. I've just noticed that there are little exclamation points right here that show who is pinging. I never realized that those popped up when you ping something. And they sort of fade away as the ping gets older and older. Interesting. You learn something new every day, don't you? Yularev is marching forward with the brutes. Those devilish medium tanks. The Janisses do contribute a lot of firepower, though, so you do have to be careful. Even medium tanks will fall to the Janus fire if it is concentrated enough. Artillery is difficult to push into, though. It's so dissuasive, right? Nobody is happy to walk in within range of artillery. You just know that it's going to end in your entire army, your entire army taking one or two too many hits in order to. In favor of the enemy, and things go south from there. Again, the missile truck meta, man, it is brutal. One or two or three volleys from some missile trucks, and suddenly you've got yourself in a really bad situation. Tons of rocket bots get jumped on by grunts here. This is very nice, very good catch. That's most of the army from Jagmioff, actually. There's not a whole lot more on the back line. We do have some. Ooh, those rocket bots killed the Twilight, releasing the EMP bomb stored inside of it. More rocket bots being pumped out here. That's the meta we're going for here. There's a lot of new metas going on all the time. There's the Whistler meta, the rocket truck meta. There's the rocket bot meta. All the rockets, basically, they're all good. Riot tanks here trying to push forward. Beamers and heavy turrets are a hell of a combo, though. They can together do a whole lot of damage. The heavy turret won't do enough to kill the riot tanks single-handedly. Like it'll blast them down in big bursts, but you can get way more value out of the turrets set up by having a beamer included in there, because well, for instance, the heavy turret will take it down to 10% health, right, and the beamer turret can reduce it to 0 in that time, whereas the heavy turret is charging. But if the heavy turret has to wait, then you waste a couple seconds there. I hope that explanation makes sense. Maybe it didn't. Anyway, Blubdarine is trying to position the commander in such a way that maybe he can comm bomb. We're looking for the D-gun here, but our orange player is well onto those tricks. I think we've been doing this dance for a while here, and so we're microing our hearts out, trying to make sure that don't lose all the units here for the orange player, or that all the units do get blown up in the commander explosion for the lavender player. So gonna be a tricky dance there. T2 is out down south. This is difficult to push into, right? You have these rocket bots, the Centurions, all these different things that you built, and now they're just getting whittled away from long distance, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than retreat. You can also make pawns, right? Pawns and ticks are a great alternative. Sheldons do terribly against ticks, and so you can run a bunch of ticks underneath their feet, and then that allows your other army to march forward. But this is really where the advantage is. We're eating up all this wreckage that the Sheldons have allowed us to claim. And with that advantage, we are going to get into a well and proper T2 army. Having this upper area has also been nice. That's a little extra metal. That's going to be a solid extra 4 metal per second, but also the geothermal plant is great. The middle of the map, man, what a constant stagnation here. Constant stalemate, I should say. It hasn't been stagnant. I would hesitate to call it stagnant. No, it's just been a battle back and forth. Shurikens are out, and they're going to paralyze some of these units here. Missile trucks do count as anti-air. They can fire up into the skies. Oh, they get jumped on by some medium tanks, though. That's not really where you want them. Yeah, that hurts. Medium tanks trade pretty well against the missile trucks here. But those missile trucks are in decent enough number. They are going to eventually be able to whittle down those tanks. It's like 1 or 2% every time one of those Whistler missiles hits, but it's still enough over time, right? You just move them just close enough to start firing, but you keep them far enough back that they're not in any real danger. Excuse me. You can move them under the laser turrets too. That's a great idea. Whatever you decide to do, you're going to be able to. You're going to be in a great position because you're effectively trading infinitely against these trucks, or against these brutes rather. The trucks trading against the brutes, I should say. And you can see, just over time, they eventually whittle down these armies into nothing. So frustrating to deal with. Meanwhile, the T2 army down south has continued to push, and I would love to see some fiends thrown in here, just as like shock troops. We have these thugs that we're using from the T1 era, but as soon as T2 comes out for any of the opposition, this is going to be really difficult to deal with. This Twitcher here has been instrumental. That's a great move here, getting that Twitcher out, and I do see some Shiva making their way forward. The Siege Bot, the ultimate siege weapon of the Cortex faction. Yeah, it looks like Fatal XL has gone all the way up to an advanced fusion reactor, and we are starting to get well into that T3 unit production. With 100 metal per second coming in, I think that's well worth it. Elydrid, on the other hand, is still tacking, and we have a bunch of butlers here building energy converters. All right. That's seems inefficient, but I guess you might as well use them for something. What I like to do is just take 3 or 4 of these, set them to wind turbines, and just build a massive wind turbine field rather, all spaced out. You just hold a spacebar whenever you're doing one of these queues, and it'll distribute those orders to all of the units within. Very useful tip, very useful for setting up those big fields of things that you want constructed by multiple constructors. That way they're not all building them one by one. Also helpful for building build power in the late game, because you typically already have build power, you're just expanding, and you don't necessarily want 10 constructors that you have to go build one by one all the turrets. You already have all the turrets you need to build them. You just need to put the blueprints down, so that's usually a better way to do it. Anyway, while I'm talking about that, there are bulls marching through the front of the middle of the map. This front line is actually pretty much broken here. Lightning tanks are going to do really well against these missile trucks. The missile trucks, I mean, of course they outrange them, but the lightning tanks can take a hit, and it won't take long before they jump on top of all of those missile trucks. The bulls get into the back line. They are dangerous, very dangerous. They're a difficult unit to deal with, and you can see that despite having the T2 lab out, it's just a little too late, as now the bulls are laying down supreme fire on this T2 facility, and before long, the T2 lab does go up in smoke. T1 solar panels, thankfully, being destroyed here. The wastes of metal are being reduced to molecules here. No, I've actually had a change of heart. I've been talking about this recently. I've had a bit of a change of heart about T1 solar panels. If you're Cortex, I think they're a little bit valid. You have a little bit of validity for building Cortex T1 solar panels. You still have to eat them. They're still a huge waste of metal, but for some reason, that extra 5 metal you spend on the Armada solar panels just seems like it doesn't. It makes them not worth it for whatever reason. I don't know. Shuriken here are the saving grace, because otherwise these bulls would continue to have a free reign in the back line. Luckily, they will be shut down, and the only nice part about this is that those bulls are very metal dense, so you can eat up those wreckages, and that is a feast right there. Medium tanks have parked in the back line and have decided to shell down at some of these advanced solar panels here. Blooded Rain has, ooh, that's an excellent D gun right there, wiping out a large contingency of those tanks, a large part of that contingency of tanks, I should say. More Jaguars are headed in, though, and they have that built-in anti-air missile, so yeah, Shuriken are not going to find very much effect against them. Yeah, I mean, well, okay. I mean, I didn't realize that anti-air attack couldn't even kill a single Shuriken with one attack, so maybe a little bit overstated there. Maybe the Shuriken is a little better than I'm giving it credit for. Meanwhile, the Shiva are marching forward, and we do have a fairly critical mass of them, but that was some excellent D-gunnery by this commander here. going to try and disappear into the night, and it's going to, at the very least, make these Shiva a whole lot more skeptical about pushing forward. They know that the commander is out there somewhere, despite it being down to only 12% health. Shiva are the ultimate siege weapon. They have that long-range, heavy plasma cannon. They have those missiles. But one thing that can screw them up big time is when you throw a stream of ticks at them, and the ticks get underneath their feet, because Shiva are not afraid of friendly fire in the slightest. They will happily shoot down at their own toes, given the opportunity. So you have to be very careful. Very, very careful. Going for a brood here, that's interesting. We don't see those built very often, but they are one option any strategic commander has. Ooh, the commander just happened to be caught right there by some friendly fire. Or not friendly fire, but rather just units that were parked next to the commander for his own team. Does mean the commander is going to go down, and that means the Shiva have free reign to continue marching forward. These chickens pack a punch, and those rockets do too. They launch from their back capsules. Yeah, those are pretty dangerous. Devastating weapons of war. The Marauders are out now, and those are sort of the Shiva counterpart. They're a different kind of siege weapon. They're more of a surprise attack siege weapon. They can come from various different angles. They have very fast firing weapons. Oh, we're not using them to stop the Shiva though. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we need to shut down these T3 before they manage to do any more damage. They've already done a lot, but if they do any more, things are going to get real critical real quick. Now, we have Razorbacks hitting the field, accompanied by snipers, and I think that's great. Snipers are always a welcome addition to any unit composition. You build enough of them, and you can take down even the toughest of units. I mean, we're even talking Juggernauts and Krogoths. No, not Krogoths, Behemoths, that's what I'm thinking of. You can take down, I mean, Krogoths, sure, but I was thinking of the Behemoth. Yeah, any of them you can take down here. Meanwhile, some gunships have managed to fly around, penetrating the air defenses, and managed to jump on top of the air player's base here. Oh, we do get the build power. That's quite nice. That's going to shut down a lot of that fighter production. Eventually, they will be shut down. But yeah, currently now, there's a huge build power shortage, and it's going to take a minute before we get that repaired. Yeah, we don't really have any constructors over here. We eventually are going to get one in order to replace all that build power. But while we're at it, maybe we should get up these T1 solar panels. Might be a little bit of metal that you could fold into your pocket. Might be a nice thing to add into your composition there. The southern side is falling quickly. You can see that rapidly the unit production has failed here. We have mammoths marching forward, blasting down some planes out of the sky. I have a feeling what happened was the two digital constructs controlling this thing, the one controlling the turret and the one controlling the movement, were having a conversation, and the one controlling the turret was like, you know, technically those planes are within range. And the one inside was like, "What are you talking about? We're a mobile unit. You can't even aim upwards." And he's like, "No, but I can, you know, I can use the mirrors and I can reflect the beam around, and you know, technically they're within range. Like I could do a little bit of damage to them." Well, I guess you know we're not doing anything else. We might as well fire, right? And thus the mammoth the mammoth discerned that it was capable of firing up into the air and shooting down fighter pilots. It only does that when it has no other targets, so it'll prefer those ground units where it does more damage, but, you know, you might as well take pot shots at the occasional unit here and there, flying about in the sky. I have a lot of headcanon for this game. Lots of headcanon. Before I learned the old lore for Total Annihilation, which I sort of just extrapolate into this game, in my headcanon was that basically these units were just like robots. They're just some like sentient AI that was set to infinite warfare eons ago, which is kind of more or less like the idea behind behind Total Annihilation, but just slightly different. These are Marauder, and they do a lot of damage. Commander's in a little bit of trouble here. They also have that light anti-air, so even this gunship is not really safe. Oh, this Marauder's getting a little frisky here. Does spot the commander. Oh, nicely done. Commander is sleeping on the job. And with one Marauder sacrificing itself, that will be a large majority of the production here for the purple player taken out of commission. Now there's a Marauder in the back line. Luckily, these windmills were built 2x2, so they won't chain react, but that's not even what we're focused on at all. We are just going to take down the plane production, and I think that's great. Yeah, getting rid of those planes is nice. It's going to open up the airplay for our yellow player here on the red team. Going to give them the opportunity that they need in order to get more and more of those fighters in. Meanwhile, Jaguars down south, they find a big eco center. Oh, that's so unfortunate. 97% left on this advanced fusion reactor before it eventually goes down. Well, I don't know. The lightning tanks will eventually get it, but they're going to focus down the actually built building first. Probably a good idea. Nicely done. We will take out the advanced fusion reactor next, but after that, we are going to sweep through here with these beautiful little pink units. Love to see that. We do have Cargonets sweeping out here. These are the sort of all-terrain, also kind of just all-purpose T3 units here. The Shiva are definitely a siege unit. The Catapult are definitely a siege unit, but the Cargonet is more of a all-purpose unit. You can kind of put it anywhere, and it does a good amount of all-around damage consistently over time. It's a well and proper T3 unit, but it fills many. It wears many hats. It fills many roles. The Razorback is stepping forward, though. The Razorback is well and truly a death machine. This thing was built for war. You can see those panoptic sensor arrays on its back here, giving it a nice little ridged crest line. Those twin turbo Gatling lasers are firing away, and there's not much that can stand up to the heat coming out of those barrels. Meanwhile, Marauders are sprinting forward. Their dual-purpose cannon/amphibious propulsion drives are firing away here as they march into the green player's base, and things are quickly collapsing for the blue team. Illinois is, or Illinois. it'd be Illinois if we pronounced it like Illinois, but anyway. We have the Marauders sweeping through the green player's production centers, and I think this is pretty much GG for this player. Yeah, I don't see how this gets much more damaging here. The T1 lab goes down. I'm sure the T2 will follow shortly. There it goes. The anti-air goes down as well. Fighters sweeping in to try and clean up these dragons. Oh, an advanced geothermal went up, and that does kill a whole lot of those Marauders. I didn't catch whether that was a self-destruct or whether that just happened to explode because of the Marauders, but either way, it does wipe out a whole lot of them. That is quite nice. Dragons doing their best to clean up these Marauders, but really they can't do very much. Not very quickly, anyway. Eventually they'll be able to shoot them down, but it just takes a long time. Those lasers are also less effective the further away the unit is, so having them fly up on this cliff means that they're not firing at their full effective range. A bulwark was built in the base to try and protect the advanced fusion reactors. I quite like that, actually. Not a bad idea to go for some static defense in your base, especially if you have the economy to spare. Heavy bombers are marching around, though. Let's see how much work these can do. Currently, they don't have a target. They're just flying around the eastern side of the map. The southeastern side of the map, I should say. And they're gonna be headed into Blue's base. Okay, so this is where things get serious. If these bombers can hit one of these big eco centers, this could be a massive chain reaction. We'll have to see how good the fighter control from Blue is. I don't think we've noticed that there are heavy bombers heading directly towards the base, and so they will get a huge hit out. There goes all of the build power. And the advanced fusion reactors may very well be next if we don't shoot down these bombers. They're heading back around for a second pass. A lot of them are very low health, though. Oh, we don't need too many bombs. One more bombing run. I don't think we're going to get the advanced fusion reactors, but the build power, the energy converters, everything has gone up, and that's enough to convince the blue player it is time to resign. An excellent push here by the Frenchmen, the French army here, dressed in red. Very nicely done. Yeah, that was a great example of how you should sweep through on this game. A little bit of an interesting base trade up here in the northern half. I'm kind of surprised that didn't go anywhere for the blue team. A lot more pressure could have been applied there, and I think that's exactly what happened with the red team. They applied pressure to the player that collapsed down here, and that meant that eventually they managed to pull back the defenses from the blue team and slip an arrow through the armor. Thanks a ton for watching. I'd love to ask you guys to just drop a like down below. It really helps me out, helps the algorithm know that you guys are interested and that this game is getting more popular, because it certainly is. I've noticed it just from the content, but also just playing around with you guys in the daily, or not the daily live streams, the twice weekly live streams, Wednesdays and Saturdays. But anyways, thanks a ton for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.